Hi guys, and welcome back to King's Aquariums in Ant World, and today we're going to be talking about hibernation. Ants are, during the winter months they like to hibernate, and my ants, it's about end of October to the early March roughly that most ants will hibernate from. And there's not really any way around it. I mean, my ants hibernate from around 5 to 8 degrees during the winter. All my breeds of ants do, species of ants do. I've made sure that they all hibernate at the same temperature, make my life a little bit easier. There's no way to get around that really. A lot of people do put their ant colonies in the fridge. We don't have room to do that, and I just think, I don't know, I don't really like the idea of that, so we've just resigned ourselves to the fact that we're going to have a slightly chilly bedroom during the winter months. But they hibernate. All the Latius niger, Latius flavus, the Camponotus lignoperdus, and the Mimica rubra, all hibernate 5 to 8 degrees centigrade during the winter months, from late October to early March time. It does vary from breed to breed. Some ant species, depending if you get tropical or exotic ant species, some of them hibernate. They have to be kept around 24 degrees, and then they hibernate at around 15 degrees, which if you have a slightly warmer house might be better for you. You just have to pick what's best for you. Some people do put their ants in like sheds and stuff over the winter months. I think that's all well and good, but if you do get a very cold winter and you get into the minus numbers, then your ants might get too cold. You can't really control it. Whereas in your house, obviously, you can control the temperature, so it's not too much to worry about. They say that sometimes you can get away with not hibernating them, but it's not recommended. Really, you should hibernate them because that helps with the queens. Makes sure that the queen's lifespan remains quite long and lengthy. If she has her hibernation each year, it also helps during the summer months. She can lay more eggs, and then she has a bit of a rest during the winter period. Then that can help with the productivity of brood and everything, and laying the eggs and that as well. So if you want to make sure you have your ant colony for a very long time, that your queen lives longer, and you get more brood and everything, it's best to hibernate them during the winter months for about 3 months. Also, during hibernation, you only need to provide them with a fresh source of water each day, so they can drink. They don't need any protein or anything during that time, and you can give them a little bit of honey water though, so they like their energy, don't they? There's one species, I think they're called Camponotus nicobarensis, and they don't hibernate really. They're kept at around, they're an Asian ant species, they're kept at around 28 degrees, although it is still recommended you lower their temperature to around 21 to 24 degrees during the winter months for 3 months, just to have a bit of a lower temperature, but they can't really withstand lower than that. But they'd obviously require heat mats and everything like that. So you either have to put up with your ants not really being very productive for around 3 months of the year, or you have to make sure and keep the upkeep of heat mats and everything if you want a more exotic species. So it just depends on how you are really. Obviously the Camponotus nicobarensis, they are a really fast growing colony because obviously they're kept at such high temperatures that they just reproduce and reproduce, and so she keeps on laying eggs. But really there's no real way around hibernation. They do, all species of ants do require, or they suggest that you keep them at a slightly lower temperature during winter for 3 months. You just have to depends on what sort of species you want. I'm not expecting to really see any of my colonies during the winter. If you have an ant species that is likes to be kept around 15 degrees during the winter, you may still see some activity. It will just be a bit reduced. They are great to have and stuff, but you have to just realise that they are more of a summer thing. And then during the winter, you just have to let them have their little dormancy period. And then during the summer, they'll pick up again. You start feeding them gradually. You have to gradually raise the temperature so that there's not a massive fluctuation in temperature. I mean, if you go from 5 to suddenly you put their temperature right up to 20, they're probably going to die, or they can get very stressed, and it's just not good for them. But if you, so you should try and keep them, gradually raise the temperature a little bit each day, and then they'll gradually come out of their dormancy. Same with winter, gradually lower the temperature down, and then they'll gradually go into their dormancy period of hibernation. So there's not really any way around it. You have to just think, if you've got ants, I'm going to have to let them hibernate. There's not really a way around it. You can just have different species that are still active, but just less so over winter, and that's it. You just have to do your research a lot, really, with ants. But yeah, so I just thought I'd talk to you about that, about hibernation, and a lot of people don't realise that. I didn't realise it when I first got ants. I then obviously did all my research and was like, oh, I better hibernate them. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next week. Bye.